Ray J is facing a year in jail. So Ray J lawyer like, hey, check this out, young nigga. You better tell him you got a year to live. So he can tell the judge, that's a death sentence, Your Honor. They'll go and lock him up, but then they'll go ask his neighbors, what kind of kid was Billy? Oh, Billy was a good kid. He used to take his sister to the park. He used to cut Miss Johnson's yard. But then when Lil Pookie get arrested from the back, they don't never tell you about his childhood and his trauma. But black folks, and I'm talking to us, as soon as Madea died, we fighting over the house. See, your worst enemy's in your family. Remember that, young man. We are dope fiends for failure of our own people. Girl, I'm glad that bitch wig fell off. Nigga, I'm glad they caught him and beat his ass. That's us. So when I be seeing a lot of brothers like, yeah, man, you done got into it with my girl. Nigga, stop. Nigga, please. You got into it with her because you wanted to go kick it with that other bitch. Not that woman, but that bitch. Because your woman you left at home.
And we're rolling. Welcome back to Wild Moguls TV, Malik Spellman.
Peace. Thanks for tuning in, all our subscribers and all the new subscribers and the people that's been with us since day one. From the bottom of my heart and the Wild Moguls Forest, we really appreciate you and thank you so kindly, especially for the dialoguing, the pressing the like button, as well as subscribing. And if you feel it in your heart, please hit that hype button. We appreciate it because that hype will get us to more people so we can get our message out. But thanks for having me. I appreciate it.
Yes, sir. So let's first get into we lost our civil rights leader, Jesse Jackson.
Oh, Jesse, huh?
Rainbow Coalition.
You mean the coalition that was hijacked by the LBGT community, the Rainbow?
Yeah.
Oh, okay. What about it? What would you like to know?
I just want to know, he was a very complex individuals. You know, he was good and bad and probably everything in between. But what's your thoughts on his career?
Well, he personally, first and foremost, I'd like to send my condolences out sincerely and genuinely to the Jackson family for the sacrifices of lending their father to us to be a voice in various communities around the United States and the world. So, with that, I I'm truly thankful that Mr. Jackson was a part of our struggle, of course. And I don't know if you guys took notice or not, but he died, I believe, during the Black History Month and just a couple of days before Ramadan. So, you know, God be with you in your struggles, brother.
God be with you in your struggles. That's it.
What more do you need to know? Because I can tell which way this highway is going. So I better light my Prozac and get it over with. Mm.
maybe maybe we'll save our Jesse Jackson discussion for another
I
day.
see you lowered the flag on the Jesse thing, then you raised it back up. So what is it that you want to know about Brother Messi Jackson? That
Oh man, well let's talk about, I mean, I feel bad the brother's gone, but we can't ignore the elephant in the room. A lot of people say he was behind, or one of the individuals behind Martin Luther King being taken out.
well, I wasn't there personally, and I just want to take note to the fact that I can only imagine what the struggles of some of our civil rights leaders, our leaders in general that have been on the very front line for whatever reason, whether the baton was passing them to continue the struggle or whether or not they self-infuse themselves into such activities such as Black Power, civil rights movement, and various other steps that we tried to make towards freedom in this country. But on the other hand, I believe it's important that we also acknowledge some of the things that we have heard that allegedly had took place with Mr. Jackson. Me personally, I was introduced to a young lady. Well, she's not a young lady; she's an elder. And you guys, of course, I always recommend this to Google her name, Doris Crenshaw. And Miss Crenshaw is one of the people that is either in charge of the last of one of many civil rights buses, or she still has possession of one right now today, just for the record. So her name is Doris Crenshaw. Please feel free to Google her. But she looked at me one day and she said, you know, Malik, I can tell that you don't like oppressors. I'm like, what? I said, why would you say that? She said, because it's written all over your face. I was like, it's written all over my face. And then she started telling me about her involvement in the civil rights movement, how each woman would pick a big burly man in order to protect them as they went across the bridges and across town, promoting the rights of human beings as well as the civil rights. And she said each woman would pick like the biggest man to try to protect him from the water holes and the dogs. And one of the funny stories she told me, she said she picked the biggest man in the group to protect her. She said when the white people let the dogs loose on her and the water holes and all the sticks and stuff, she said he was in the corner crying like a girl. He was sorry. Like she was mad that she picked this big burly dude when all the little skinny warriors that was with them at the time was fighting off the police. So I found that to be interesting. But she also indicated, and God is my witness, I must let the record reflect. I asked her about the Jesse Jackson, Dr. King thing. And mind you, she's with these people every single day. I've met the Abernathy family, his daughter. I've read some of his books as well. And he told me she told me that Jesse Jackson was responsible for having Dr. King killed. That's what she said to me. I wasn't there. I was probably a toddler at the time.
Mm-hmm.
But it was perplexing to say the least because of the fact that at that time I was a little kind of like braggadocious and obnoxiously rude about our struggle in terms of where I presented it. Class distinction wasn't the order of the day, should I say. And I said to her, I said, do you want us to do something to him in that sense, from a street perspective? And she said, no, Dr. King wouldn't have wanted that. And it kind of reflected back to when I was at Danny Bakewell's office once, and I made a statement that had a violent attachment to it towards another brother. And then Tupac was like, man, Malik, man, how you advocating for peace, but you want to do such and such to this brother right here? So oftentimes the people that advocate for certain things, it usually be the reverse. Not in all cases, but in the cases that we're aware of. So when she made that mention to me, I thought about that for a long time because she doesn't have a reason to lie. Her stories line up like $100 worth of dimes. And I felt it to be interesting because if you look at Dr. King and then you look at Mr. Jackson, rest in peace, it's like the baton was passed to him, but it was passed lit.
Mm.
I think he should really be honored. I didn't notice any half flown flags in America on his behalf. I heard the president make mention of him. But during the time of 1984, when he ran for president of the United States, he really wasn't a super supporter of Brother Farrakhan's mission in a sense that I could remember in terms of agreeing with the ideologies. They may have been brothers and friends, they weren't never enemies that I know of. But I do know that Jesse Jackson allegedly couldn't stand Barack Obama. See, the problem with black leadership oftentimes is once they get to a level of success at their political careers, they oftentimes don't surround themselves with intellectual people that are intellectually capable of representing the people at the bottom or the middle class or those voiceless. See, here at Wild Moguls, we embrace the people that the rich don't hug, whether it be through the internet or in person when we see them, or through accepting their perspective. So when you see someone like a Jesse Jackson, and then he starts pontificating as the civil rights leader, that camera can be dangerous. You know that thing that's in front of me?
Mm-hmm.
Because that camera is like a gun. It can either hurt you, it can feed you, or it could hurt someone else. And when you get intoxicated with politics and then Hollywood gets in it, then it becomes a disaster.
Mm-hmm.
As long as we're on the corner doing our thing, that was well accepted. But when you start getting into the mainstream veins of society and societal issues, then you become a victim of society's retribution, which is oftentimes character assassination, or in the case of Mr. Jackson, perhaps someone persuaded him to do something concerning the civil rights movement that stayed on his heart for a long time. I wasn't there.
Mm-hmm.
But I don't see any advancement for black people based on the push. In other words, like my granny used to say, the juice ain't worth the squeeze. And some of the squeeze that they put down, the juice only went into 1 cup. You can see it through the masses of our people. Look at all the black organizations that we had and still have that were contributors to our struggle. NAACP, SCLC, a variety of different groups. But at the end of the day, the challenges that they meet are oftentimes unlike any other ethnic group because who we are.
Do you believe we deserve reparations?
I believe we need to be repatriated because, again, reparations, of course, I do believe that we should get it. Let me answer that very clearly. Yes. But along with that, we should be put back where they found us and in the conditions that they found us. Because reparations is good, but we also need financial literacy with that. We had an artificial version of reparations through the criminal activity of what they call PPP. And you've seen that turn out to be a disaster. So that's why we buy land. That's why we encourage people here at Wild Moguls to purchase raw land. That's what we do. Because raw land is a generational item that can really help later on in the future when some of us will no longer be here. But reparations from this America should come in the form of anything that they can offer us as a way of saying, I apologize, because we're not beggars and we're not asking for anything and we're not even demanding it. It speaks for itself because truthhood comes, falsehood vanishes, and falsehood is forever a vanishing thing. So we don't have to just go out and keep explaining to people what they owe us and why they owe us. No, absolutely not. Emphatically no. Run that check. That's what you need to do. And then add up everything you got. And then start out with some of the inventions that we made. Let's add up some of that first. Then we can get to all the other, as they say in the world of child support, the arrears.
Yeah.
Which is very dangerous.
So we was uh we was talking back in the day a couple of days ago, and you was saying something about Cuban heel toe boots.
I was gonna get you some of them Cuban heel toe boots. You know, uh, I got a couple of partners that still wear them. That's them old James Brown boots with the high heels on them with the round fronts. You be doing a Ricky Ricardo move in them. You know what I'm saying? So them heel toe joints, man, with the they was big during the Black Panther era with the leather coat, with the gloves. You had the joints with the Don Cornelius tips on the front. You know what
Yeah.
I'm saying? I seen your man Steve Harvey had on some a couple times. Them old Cuban toe boots, man. Right now I got on something, man, that ain't about nothing, man, but I ain't got them Cubanos on though,
They
man.
got the Cubanos.
Yeah, man, but good luck with that though.
Oh, okay.
Yeah.
And we was also talking about how condoms were making men sterile. Can you can you get into that?
For a long time, back in the 80s, creeping into the 90s, they had some brothers running around South Central and they were selling condoms that were made for black men because of our difference in terms of our structure and our anatomies in comparison to other races. And consequently, that company either got sold or bought out or had a hostile takeover, per se, by some major condom companies. And I tell brothers all the time, and no disrespect, but I believe that men either have more, how can I say this without being disrespectful? Men have more abortions a day, I believe, than women. Because they taught us that all our women are infected, that our women have HI this, HI that, all the acronyms that can go with character assassination in terms of diseases or STDs, which means dis-ease. And every time you put on one of those condoms, you pretty much kill millions of babies yourself. So when brothers be saying, oh man, these sisters be doing this, that, and the other, dude, You went for the psychological warfare that all our women were contaminated, which is absolutely not true. But then other races are consequently still having children. So they put these condoms in our neighborhood, and then in some neighborhoods, they put the condoms behind the counter with a lock on it. Now, if you're trying to prevent the spread of something, why would you lock the most important thing that you could possibly give to an underserved community behind the counter? Why would you do that? If anything, you would want them to steal that more than anything. So the idea of genocide and population control and things of that nature. See, in well-to-do communities, when you walk in there, they don't have malt liquor. They don't have Old English. They may have a Heineken or a Coors or something. They don't have condoms. They don't have male stimulants to get you erections. They have none of that. They don't have buses riding by with naked women on the side of the bus or somebody riding with a gun, as we spoke of before. They don't have that. They don't have a bunch of McDonald's and Burger Kings in their communities. They don't have that. But they saturate our communities with it to the degree that they have to put a moratorium down, if that is such a term, in order to facilitate no more stores opening up. Or a Kentucky Fried Chicken or some other major franchise and monopolize the market in a certain area where no other chicken stand can open up. So the things that they do in the communities that they feel deserve it is not done to the masses of the people, and that's why there's an imbalance in society, as if the people that are what they allege to be imbalanced or unbalanced don't want a better life. And that's so far from the truth. It's like from here to Mars. So you have to watch the schematics of what goes on in one area, including the curriculum that they serve their children, and then what goes on in our area. For example, I went to a Ralph's in a well-to-do community, which is a supermarket for our listeners, and it was almost like a Saks Fifth Avenue. And to my surprise, I thought everything under USDA, which is Food and Drug Administration, and agriculture, of course, accepted food stamps or EBT. But they have some parts of Ralph's supermarket that don't accept EBT. And the stores look like museums. I mean, they had culinary items and they had all kinds of 100 different dog foods, things that we don't get. So what they do is they take that food when it doesn't sell there, because their fruits have no blemishes on them. And then they take that food and they send it to the poor communities and then they repackage it. That's why it's unsafe for you to buy sliced cake in the store, because that's just a cake they couldn't sell and they just sliced it up. Or another example, when people go to rent a car and you rent that car, like, yeah, man, they got me in this Camaro. But if you look at the market, Camaros aren't selling. So what they do is they take that car and they send it to the used car place to get mileage on it, and then it becomes certified used. Now they can sell it for the price that they want. So it's all a game. It's all mathematics.
Oh, that's what they do.
That's what they do, young man.
And sell it certified used.
Right. So when you go there and they say, you just pick any car you want. You can get that one. You can get this one. Especially if you got a gold card. So they get some money because you're a platinum holder. And then you just go there, man, I just pick the one I want and I drive off. They either take it and resell it or they take it back to the dealership or the manufacturer and then they resell it. Used mark. That's the car game.
Unbelievable.
It's believable.
Um, we was talking. We didn't put it into the last episode, but let's talk about how when celebrities go to court, they got to get sick. And what did you say about Ray J?
I said, Ray J, I love little Ray J, but in my praying gestures and laughing, I said, Ray J is facing a year in jail. So Ray J lawyer, like, hey, check this out, young nigga. You better tell him you got a year to live. So he can tell the judge, that's a death sentence, Your Honor. You know what I'm saying? I mean, think about it, man. Bill Cosby, he came to court. Let me get off camera for a second. Bill Cosby came to court, and Bill was like,
He couldn't see.
I was like, Bill can't see. And then Michael Jackson, they had him. He jumped on top of the car and couldn't get down, and he was stuck. John Gotti, he had his robe on. You know, and
Suge Knight, fell out.
They had Brother Suge had the coldest, but they had him in a wheelchair popping a willy with some blinders on. So the sugar, they got the sugar. Boy, they know how to play it. But see, the difference in them and us is that, say, if I commit a crime, they gonna cuff me like this, boom, and then they gonna throw me in the car.
Yeah.
Then they gonna character assassinate my brother. They gonna take my other brother in jail. They gonna put him in the hole 24 hours in the hole because he's high profile on my behalf. But then when you get them dudes like Amber Combry and Finch, I believe it is, that molest kids,
Yeah.
and you never hear the story again, but you hear about R. Kelly and you hear about all these other people, the Smokey Robinsons and all that, they get cut from the front like this with a shirt on the front because that's all Masonic.
Wow.
And then they go to them, for example, when the white kids shoot up a school or a church, and I specifically use race to indicate something because this is how I normally examine it. They'll go and lock him up, but then they'll go ask his neighbors, what kind of kid was Billy? Oh, Billy was a good kid. He used to take his sister to the park and he used to cut Miss Johnson's yard. But then when Lil Pookie get arrested from the back, they don't never tell you about his childhood and his trauma. It's not important.
No, it's not important.
You can't come there and say he cut Miss Black's yard. They don't want to hear that. Because under the Clinton administration, they declared that Black men were born clinically, genetically, and criminally insane. So that's why you see a lot of brothers got that little clipping, I know a couple of them, on the back from that soft tissue on their brain because they called us predators, super predators.
Wow.
That's the truth.
So what's the what do you think we're getting into now?
What do you mean by that?
With the Epstein files, these wars. I mean, I just had a conversation. They thinking, Trump gonna put us into something to get into martial law. I mean, what's your thoughts on the current times of the day?
Well, surely by the token of time, man is in manifest error and loss, according to the Quran.
Mm-hmm.
And if man is in manifest error, meaning that it is obvious. And if he's in manifest error and lost, that means he's suspended into space and about to dart off into infinity. And when you get that type of mindset, as the Bible would say, there'll be wars and rumors of wars. So when you hear these type of rumors of wars and wars, of course, that's for capitalism. That's for population decreasing. All those things play a major part. So until we really actually are in a physical war here in the United States, I don't think people will really get the fact that the world is at war right now. And as far as, did you ask me about Mr. Epstein, I believe it was?
Yes, sir.
Well, I find Epstein to be interesting because Epstein is a conglomerate of professional and not so much professional people that participated in some very nefarious activity when it comes to children and other human beings. But Epstein Island is no different than Rikers Island. The guards abuse people there. Epstein Island is no different than a Staten Island or a Catalina Island or another island, Gilligan's Island for that matter. It's all the same thing, man. It's all the same thing. It's no coincidence that, let me give you an example. The Island Boys, right? You know, the two little rapper influencers, podcasters. What is the chances of them being the stepchildren of Epstein on his island? Because I could never figure out for the life of me where they got that name from, the Island Boys. And then if you do their history on them, they all look like Epstein, and they all probably participated in some sort of activity through the way of their parents. But Epstein's situation goes a little deeper than just him himself. That's the darkness of that world.
Did you get into his they're talking about his cloning and babies operations up at Zora Ranch?
I didn't get into it because I wasn't invited. And I would have never accepted that invitation, although I know what you're talking about.
Yeah.
But for the most part, I've seen some stuff that would really make you sick to your stomach concerning the Epsteins and the breeding farms and the genetics. See, all those people practice what we called back in the days eugenics. It's all a form of eugenics. Like the Central Park Zoo was probably the first place where they started practicing eugenics when they had black people in the same zoo that you walk by today and there's as on exhibit. So the eugenics concept and perspective didn't just stop and start with Epstein. You know, have you ever in your entire life seen the Pope, no disrespect to people's religion or ideologies, or any other high powered person other than maybe, I think I seen Mr. Trump eat McDonald's once, and I believe I seen Obama at Roscoe's Chicken and Waffles attempting to eat. But when you look at their situation, do you ever see them people eat anything?
No, no.
I'll wait.
I don't even think we saw Obama eat. We saw him order.
Okay, when you see them at them big meetings, at them summits and stuff, Camp David and all those other places they retreat to, the Bohemian Grove and all those places, do you see them eating anything?
Probably babies.
That's my point. Placentas and afterbirth. And, you know, I watched a thing with some of Epstein's cronies soliciting sisters to buy their afterbirth or the babies that they had through miscarriage. When they're using code words like beef jerky and what do you call it? Honey buns and
Yeah, I
things of
saw
that
beef
nature.
jerky. So what was the beef jerky supposed to
Beef
be?
jerky is human beings, babies.
Wow.
And I don't want your audience to think that we just concentrating on this type of activity because we do have other subject matters that we will discuss concerning the elevation of our people. But for the most part, this is nothing new to them. People order mice. You can see it yourself. They call it exotic foods.
Yeah.
They've always done that. They've always used some of the cos. Botox didn't just come out of nowhere. That was the afterbirth of children. Everyone with a brain knows that. The cure for what you call the virus, what was it, the coronavirus or something? That's a portion of a human being that's placed in the body, and then the disease or the virus attacks that part of the body, thinking that it's the actual part of the body, and that's how they was able to slow down the coronavirus. What's the same thing with these people? They've always been wicked like that. What do you think the Flintstones is seen as? Have you ever seen any black people on the Flintstones?
Never.
Okay then. Yabba dabba do. What does it come on and say? We'll have a good time. We'll have a good time. We'll have a gay old time. That's him and Barney singing. You ain't nothing to do with me. The
Well, you
signs
know,
and symbols are truly for men and women of understanding. What sign of your Lord will you deny? None.
well, I heard gay meant happy before the gays took the word. Like they took the rainbow and they took the word happy. They just took the shit.
Well, I can't say that they took it. I can say that they used it to their advantage
Yeah.
because every group has used something, especially when it comes from black people, to advance their cause. And that goes back to the civil rights movement. You know, benefits more from the minority status than anyone, a white woman.
Mm.
So, and this is my humble opinion. I believe if Dr. King would have had a chance to meet with the Honorable Elijah Muhammad one more time, that would have elevated us to another level. They met once, and then right after he met with the Honorable Elijah Muhammad, Dr. King, he was murdered. Remember, those forces that be kept those brothers opposed to one another
Yep.
at all
Malcolm,
times.
Malcolm and Martin.
Divide and conquer.
Divide and conquer.
You know, Jesse in the community. Once they put so much bread in front of you and got you on file, and then you part of that, you know, that high order. See, a lot of our brothers and sisters like Jesse and them had to join the Masonic order back then just to get ahead.
Well, they did that with Jesse and Obama because Jesse got exposed by being at a news and he thought he was off camera and they had his mic hot and he was talking stuff about Obama and then they aired that when he was off camera or off air. He was talking off air.
You
and
know
his
what?
camera was hot and his microphone was hot.
Well, the biggest mistake that Obama made was not letting the greats, although we've removed their fault, that was because I don't want this show to come off as a group of brothers eating our dead brother's flesh. Mr. Jackson, we don't do that.
Well, I was trying to actually give him some
And that's duly noted.
Yeah.
But once again, Obama, his methodology that he used did not advance us much above the needle. And oftentimes our black leaders don't want to accept their fault and errors. I'm one of the first ones to try and accept my fault and errors because I get checked all the time by the subscribers when I say anything out of pocket, down to having on big boots or socks. So being politically correct is very difficult to do. But if you practice it long enough and you know your audience, then you know what people to put on a chessboard. Because see, they play chess, but they play chess with all pawns on the table.
Damn. That's deep.
They ain't got time to play with no bishops, no rooks, no kings, no queens, none of that. It's all pawns on the table. That's why they call it pawns in the game.
Wow. Did you pay attention to what Vlad did and said about the Jay-Z and Tori case? And everybody was looking at it and sharing it, thinking Vlad was spilling the beans and he got paid by Jay-Z to keep Tory in jail and all this other stuff. But he said it was a hoax and a troll. What are your thoughts on his on this whole situation?
Next question.
Damn, like that. Correlate the correlation between juvenile detention halls and the Epstein.
Well, I find it ironic that they put so much light on the Epstein Island and the nefarious activity that took place allegedly on that island because I was not there, but although I do believe it happened because of spiritual wickedness in high places. But they forgot another component, which is like in the middle. The R. Kellys, the brothers and sisters who get these sex crimes, the Smokey Robinsons, the people that are accused from the waist down, as we discussed before. And there's a component within the juvenile reform system, which they call for many years reform school or juvenile hall or whatever the situation may be pertaining to our young people, where the staff, as we speak, are being sued and the victims are being compensated as we speak for sexual misconduct and abuse. So the extension of Epstein's Island is far deeper down the rabbit hole than one could ever imagine. You still have the Catholic Church, the Boy Scouts of America. Then you had the McMartin case back in the days, and it was molesting children at the daycare center. Then you had another situation in which some group of people were selling body parts to this day in Libya at the Muammar Gaddafi, rest in peace, died, where they taking Africans and they bringing them over for the lure of more cash for their labor in which they were probably sold unto. And consequently, they got them on the ground, burning them alive, stealing their body parts. So the rabbit hole goes deeper than, what we think it is. It goes all the way back to our prior discussion about eugenics and how eugenics played a major role in population control and insidious activity taking place in high places. So when you think about an Epstein, you got to remember Rikers Island prison, in which they have a lot of sexual assault going on, Alabama state prisons, Georgia state prisons, foster care. How many foster care children have these people adopted that we don't know where they are? How many? How many male on male couples have adopted black children under the auspices of creating a family, and then something happens that's not conducive to their well-being or safety? Or the lady that adopted two black children in another state and then ran into the ocean with them. For what reason? So the Epstein perspective and whatnot, if you look at the last part of the Tom Cruise movie, Eyes Wide Shut, I believe that's the name of it.
Mm-hmm.
And they had Nicole Kidman and Tom Cruise, and they had the little girl with them. And in one scene, they stopped near a cradle. I remember that cradle was representative of Rosemary's Baby, the book, the movie rather, which is a very dark movie. So consequently, she stops at the cradle almost at the end of the movie. So it's Tom Cruise, Nicole Kidman, and the little girl. I don't know her name. So she stops to look at this cradle, and then there's these two men. If you throughout the movie, one of them have on a 3/4 beige coat. They never say anything. They just always in the background. But at the end of the movie, you see them leaving with the little girl, like they pretty much got her from the stroller or from Tom Cruise and them, and they leaving with her like this, with their hand behind, holding her hand, and then they're just walking away with her. So all those are subliminal messages that you can really detect, and they tell you because I've worked in Hollywood and I've watched their subliminal messages and how they infuse it because their philosophy is if it bleeds, it leads, and titties and ass sell. So it's no coincidence that when you cut on the TV in the morning and you see that weather girl with that short dress on, that's by design to get your attention, especially when you're in prison. And then after that is who got killed. Then they get to another story. And then they spend like 10 minutes on an animal story and 1 minute on a human being being murdered in the streets. So the Epstein Island thing goes a lot deeper than what you think. He had all sorts of gynecologists involved with his activity. The man had all sorts of genetic engineers involved with his activity that wanted investments into their company to make designer babies that can either be smarter, taller, or darker, or lighter, or eyes bluer or browner. So there's no coincidence, man. I mean, if they're doing it to our food, what do you think they're going to do to the actual human being? Because the food that they serve is so chemically polluted to where they might as well cut out the middleman and just take the body.
Yeah. So it seems like it's a whole bunch of nothing.
Depending on who you are. If you like beef jerky made by from human beings or from children, then that's what you do. See what happened with Jay-Z and Beyonce? It's like everything is signs and symbols are truly for men of understanding and women. Which sign of your God do you deny? None. So when they start making them albums with dark scenes in them and stuff like that, with 16 this and that, and they compare it to her abortions or her, her miscarriages, unfortunately. In order to get to the top, you get there in Hollywood, and it's like, okay, for example, if I wanted to get to the top, I would get to a certain level and get comfortable. But then the powers that be like, no, we want more. I'm like, I don't have any more. Like rappers now, they like, dude, we don't want your rap no more.
Wait,
What else you got? Can you act? Can you skip? Can you hold a cup in front of a store like a monkey? What can you do? Oh, I could make some serial killer music because you got to understand that the record companies utilize the rappers and others to not only overthrow governments, but they also utilize it to fill up their prisons because they have a large investment into the prison system. So when you see them get a rapper and he come out playing that serial killer music or what they call drill music, it's not because they don't have no public enemy activity in their catalog. It's because that these people have an agenda to fill up the prison with the young people before they get to acknowledge their rite of passage, which is 21. What is so great between the age of 13 and 21 that you want our youth? That's a mathematical equation that should be turned into a dissertation.
hmm,
Why is it that you want the genetic structure, the full human being at this age, and what gives you the right to invest more into incarcerating this person than it would to educate that person? It's mathematically, emphatically impossible to even fathom the thought of why do you do what you do? There has to be a hidden agenda. Just like when they say, yeah, we're building a housing project. Whose project is that? Do you know what goes on in a project?
hmm,
And why is there some of the projects got the bars going in like this inward instead of keeping the people out? Why is that?
yeah, keep you in.
It all goes down to DNA. It all goes back down to some sort of sexual agenda, whether it be abortion, whether it be population control, incarceration. See, one human being on the earth, and I'll spare him the description because of respect for those who are not like him in a sense. But he uses only two materials, concrete and steel. That's it. So he covered the whole earth with just concrete and steel. That's why the earth is what you call global warming, because everything is beaming down on concrete, no grass, no trees, no nothing. And well to do communities that have trees and 5 miles of park space or open space for them to have a rite of passage. But in the inner city, like example in Los Angeles, under the light change administration, which I call the Maxine Waters plan, they took all the real lights out of the ghetto that was there since the conception of the city of Los Angeles, those little short green lights. Then they replaced them with these tall lights that you don't get no light, but you get a lot of crime. Then they took the little bitty green lights and they put them in Beverly Hills and they put them in Diamond Bar and all those other areas for the purpose of sparking nostalgia about what Los Angeles or California used to look like. So there's all kinds of mechanisms in place that allows them to do what they want because they don't have to ask permission. Elon Musk doesn't have to go to Congress to say, let me send a rocket in the air. You and I would. NBC don't have to say they want to put a data center someplace and ask permission from the community, but you and I would because it's the right thing to do for us. It's all inclusive. But when you get to going to high places like that, they demand you to go up even further. And that's how some of our local artists, who, by the way, just for the listening audience, we don't look for artists and entertainers for leadership. Because Jesse Jackson and the rest really don't pass the baton down because we're the stones that the builders rejected. They know it and we know it. They high masons.
Mm-hmm.
See, everybody else passed the baton down. Wealthy people or people with a brain, they don't wait till they die to empower their children. They give them the baton while they're alive and watch and see what they do with it. That's the difference. So you're not gonna marry some Jewish girl's, some Jewish man's daughter and think you just gonna sit around all day. He either gonna get you a job, or you gonna get one, or education, or he gonna put you in a business, or you gonna manage some buildings. Because he's not gonna let you be with his daughter and be broke. But black folks, and I'm talking to us, as soon as Medea died, we fighting over the house. See, your worst enemy's in your family. Remember that, young man.
Yeah.
We fighting each other. We don't get along. We got to really stop all that foolishness. And this isn't just some idle at the light conversation. Like for real, I'm looking at y'all in all sincerity. We got to cut out a lot of the bullshit we be doing. Just straight stop. Because if we went through the list, we'd be here forever. And you really got to dig inside because God will never change the conditions of a people till they change the conditions in their heart. And we got some hard hearts. So we need to clean our cribs up mentally, physically, and mostly spiritually, especially during this holy month of Ramadan that's open to anybody and everybody. It just means fasting. So let's not get into a matter of semantics when it comes to words.
Yeah.
I don't do semantics. That's not my get down of verbal gymnastics. I definitely don't do mental gymnastics. But I want us to, and you know that better than anybody, but I want us to have a higher vibration that can eradicate the AM and the FM vibrations and the static electricity. Because if we just stay moping and looking around, for some reason, we have really gotten to the point that we're dope fiends for failure.
Damn. Dope fiends for failure.
It's like if we don't see somebody fail, or we don't see one of our people get drop off their throne or get killed or something happened to that nigga. Whoop-de 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 whoop. Nigga, please. Stop bullshitting yourself. We are dope fiends for failure of our own people. Girl, I'm glad that bitch wig fell off. Nigga, I'm glad they caught him and beat his ass. That's us.
Yeah. Well, hurt people hurt people.
We have become a product of our own environment and put ourselves under what they call arrested development. If you really look at the neighborhood and go outside right now, minus your own safety conscious and your emotional reservoir of feelings that you carry every time you walk out your door, the neighborhood is really safe because we arrested ourselves.
Mm.
If you walk outside right now, there's no one outside. There's no kids riding bikes, no ice cream trucks, because we are under what they call an arrested development. And it was done by design. We got to get that BS out of our house. Let me give you an example. And I didn't want to have this conversation, but I'm going to attempt to have it. And I'm going to make it where it's, in the words of modern day society, non-binary. Let me give you the story. When I was married to my children's mother, fellas, especially the youngsters, hell knows no fury like a woman scorned. That's the first thing. Meaning, you ain't never been in nothing until you mess with Mama Bear and her children or a woman really scorned because you hurt her. That's dangerous. Be careful with that. Remember that. Second of all, every time I used to cheat and had a little slick side broad or something like that, a woman's wit is lethal. I would zip my pants down and the phone would ring. I'm like, damn, how'd she do that? I'd have the girl in the car and she would call or pull up. So a lot of times I be seeing some brothers that can't afford to play that player game, but they try. See, when I was a player, once I got hip to it, my thing was this. If I had 4 girls, north, south, east, and west, I let them all know, look, I got her, I got her, I got her, and I just dropped you off in her car. Because I ain't got time to play games with finding my phone or seeing me pressing like on the internet or hiding some female. Because rightfully on a spiritual tip, you can have 4 wives, but you won't have that conversation in America. They'd rather you marry another man or a woman, or you can marry your dog or your cousin. Because if you get to the point where you have what you call family management and you're able to afford that, that takes away from the divorce courts. That takes away from the drama. That takes away from the seizure of houses and property and the breaking up of families.
Yeah.
So all that is systemic and is built in such a way that it correlates with child support, welfare, social security. Everything has a penalty if you don't play by their rules, is my point.
Yeah.
So when I be seeing a lot of brothers like, yeah, man, you not got into it with my girl. Nigga, stop. Nigga, please. You got into it with her because you wanted to go kick it with that other bitch. Not that woman, but that bitch. Because your woman you left at home.
Real talk.
Real talk.
Yeah.
And it goes for females too. Or you be playing, she catch you in a line. I'm speaking from a sapiosexual perspective. Or is the word sapio?
I don't know neither word.
Well, sapiosexuals or sapiosexual, depending on which side of New York you're from, because I have a New Yorker accent, is a person that gets off on intellectually stimulating conversations, as opposed to being heterosexual, bisexual, or asymmetrical, in a sense. And you just got to be real with it, man. Like, nah, baby, this is what I'm doing. Keep it real, man. Don't sacrifice your happiness in your household for a moment's success, because a minute's success isn't worth a lifetime failure.
Yeah.
So when you see these cats and they be trying to be slick, player. Let me stop right quick and get a ladies 2 steps ahead of you. Your woman got a office husband. She ain't sleeping with him, but he buying her lunch and listening to her talk about your ass. She got spoke coat that's laying in the cut that used to be with her. He can always call and get back. He just waiting for you to fall off. And then men, they get caught cheating because they cheat. Women, if they do cheat, they cheat between the hours of 9 and 5. You know, the Amazon man, the postman, the other nigga that get off at 2 o'clock. Whereas men cheat between hours of 5 and 9. But you're supposed to have been home at 5 o'clock, 5:30. So you crack. So when you come home running that game, the women like, yeah, baby, you know, player, take it from me, man. And I probably done seen more pussy than a gynecologist. Because I was an OG OBGYN. Different. And I wasn't raised by IG. I was raised by OGs. Big difference. But a woman hears so much game every day. Because you niggas be pillow talking. And then you come home and playing them stupid. They done heard all that shit all day, baby. So your slick shit you coming home with, now I'm just saying though, man, you know, knock it off, man. Knock it sideways, man. Put a cap on it, man. Put a ring on it, my nigga. So nigga, please, stop. Stop thinking you bullshitting these females. They know better. They got more game than Vegas.
More game than Vegas.
That's why most of the divorces is what? Put down by black women, by women. Because they get tired of your bush. I was a super predator player.
You was a predator player.
A real one, and I got real hair. So there was some different shit going on with me during the Jerry Curl era. I snuck by some niggas, and I wasn't from no gang. None of that. Kai told Kai to get that Kai, but Kai was scared of Kai. Well, let me tell you that story though. When I was at a crip meeting in the penitentiary, but That's the truth, though, man. If ladies, leave a comment if I'm right or if I'm wrong. But you're not about to have 4 wives in America because that's counterproductive and intuitive in our society. You can't out-argue no woman. So, nigga, please stop. You're not gonna have more slick shit to do than her because, according to Adam and Eve, she bit the apple first and your ass was over there. That's what happened.
Yeah.
So how you gonna have more game and then all you donated was a rib? Nigga, you should have got a rib with some side orders. That's what the side piece is for. Side order, but you just give her a rib. Nigga, she wants some bread, some coleslaw, and some beans. So stop making these rib meals, nigga, with no side piece. Now you stuck with this side bitch, and then you're gonna get a 3-day notice from your main girl. Well, Malik, what is a 3-day notice? In 3 days, you're gonna notice she ain't fucking with you no more. Wild Moguls TV. Get down when you get mad at.